Hey everyone, I wanted to talk about ROCD for a little bit because I haven't spoke about ROCD in a video, in a YouTube video, lots of TikToks and shorts in a while, and I want to talk about my specific journey with ROCD, how I got underneath my ROCD fears, and how you can do that too. ROCD is very sneaky in the sense that you're always looking for some validation that you love the person and or the reasons why you should leave them. And I'm going to talk all about that. Before I go any further, please subscribe, hit that like button down below. Let me know what you think about this video. I cannot tell you how many people out there are really struggling with relationship fears because they're trying to chase emotions or feelings or anything like that. And that direct message with Phil is great. We get you in right away. We are filling up really quickly, but we work with all the different time zones, as I say. And the webinars at 8:30 p.m. UK time have been great. They've been filling up like crazy. We had 80 people at the one this week. 80. It was a buzz. I had a blast. If you were there, I hope you enjoyed it, especially if it was your first time. Those webinars are great. We get a lot of great feedback, even if you don't come in for one-to-one coaching, which obviously is very beneficial because it's hard to cover the specifics in a webinar. The webinar services are incredible, and the questions and answers makes people feel great. I like what someone said. They said something like, the webinars are unique because the individual becomes, they realize it's okay to ask the questions that they want to ask. And that is a very comforting, in a non-reassurance way, where OCD sufferers don't feel so alone. And that's why we do it. So my ROCD was based around one. This is not the one that we usually see, but it's definitely very common. Wanting to be single. So I definitely wanted to be single and didn't want to be in a relationship. That was a really big one. Second, if I was in a relationship, boring, because of all the being promiscuous and all the other things I've talked about in my videos. If you haven't seen that, I was afraid that being with one person forever would be very boring. And that's where human beings are always chasing emotions. I want the new job, the new car, and they're on the hamster wheel of life, always looking for the next hit of excitement and rushing around. So that's definitely very important to cover. So wanting to be single, boring, and then obviously, the typical one that we always have is no attraction. So that was no attraction during intimacy, being on the couch. And inside that no attraction, a lot of annoyance. So like Erica just asking me how my day was would bring this extreme sensation of annoyance where, oh my God, why is she talking to me? I hate her. Why is she annoying me or bothering me? I just want to cook dinner on my own. And then, oh my God, what does that mean? Etc., etc. And then probably one more aspect, if I had to say, wanting to be single and boring, which are kind of the same thing. No attraction. Those might have been the main three ones that really bothered me the most. Fortunately for me, I didn't really care that much whether I felt in love. I never have. Because at this time, when this was becoming a bigger problem, I had already worked on my sensory motor for so long that I really didn't mind feeling a certain way anymore. Like that was no longer a major concern of mine. So I will put like love with a question mark. So those are really the big ones that affected me the most. Erica just messaged me, gotta go, love you. She's so sweet, right? She's such a nice, nice, but say nice person. She's a person with nice traits. Don't want to go against the philosophies that we talk about. So let's talk about some activating events when it comes to ROCD. Now, there's a fucking million of them, right? Sex and intimacy, romance, cuddling, everything that has to do with touching your partner, all the way from kissing them to intercourse to holding your hand. Anything that you deem a special day. Anniversaries, birthdays, her birthday, your birthday, vice versa, wedding days, etc. Children and everything to do with children, from having the children to the pregnancy period to all sorts of stuff. Sleeping together in the sense of like not intercourse, but like being in the bedroom with them. Annoying. Nobody talks about this. Like, oh my God, they're so warm. They're keeping me up. This is so annoying. I'm not going to get good sleep. All the sleep-related fears. Another one is how you feel when you see them. All that stuff as well. Oh my God, do I love them? Oh my God, do I feel disgusted? Oh my gosh, I just looked at them and had an image of me sleeping with their best friend. What does that mean about me? Back and forth and all over the place. So many different triggers with the images of a man, or knowing their past. And then, this is a great one, someone's going to watch this that I work with and laugh, and having all those images in their mind. Oh my God, what if I'm sleeping with my partner and have an image of them, of this person being with another person? What about that? What if I have that image in my mind? What if we're out in public and we're talking about something and then someone walks up that I know slept with my partner and then I freak out over that? Oh my gosh, what if when my partner kisses me, I imagine that I'm kissing my best friend who's the same sex as me and I have sexual orientation OCD or I'm gay? So there's all the different parts of that. All the triggers that come throughout the day, you have to lean into that. And I know how difficult that is. You have to learn to wear that like an uncomfortable coat. So remember, when it comes to all sensations, and by the way, you're not going to get this right all the way. So wear all symptoms. And when I mean symptoms, I mean increase of symptoms or decrease of symptoms. Because when people don't have symptoms, they use that as a measuring stick to prove why it's not ROCD or it's real, and that's a big mistake. So wear all symptoms everywhere forever. And I know that is very hard for people. So wear all symptoms everywhere forever. Never forget that. The reason why that's so important is if you're only doing this, okay, I have to write this one down, but if you're only doing this with a timestamp of, well, I'm going to do this until I get better and then I know for sure whether I love my partner, you're going to be in really big trouble because there's a couple realities about life that are they're basics of relationship OCD and relationship anxiety. Number one, you will never know. No one can ever know if their partner is the one. Okay, you get married, you fall in love, you have a great relationship. 8 years into the marriage, your wife dies in a tragic accident. She dies in a head-on collision. And then you become depressed. She was the one. Maybe you had a kid together. You have a total midlife crisis. You move across. I'm in Colorado. I moved to California. Let's go even further. I go to Vermont, all the way across America. I'm there for 2 years. I'm still kind of depressed. I meet someone. I fall in love. Maybe this is 11 years later. And that person's now the one. Which one's the one? Is it your ex-wife who you thought was the one but then died in a car accident? Or is it your new wife? It's so easy to break down the concept of the one. Theoretically, very difficult to believe it. Okay? There's also no universal principles on what people can do in a relationship. I know this is very hard to hear. If you're married, I know how hard this is. If you're married and your partner cheats on you, I'm not saying I agree with the action. I don't agree with that. I used to cheat a lot. I don't cheat anymore. I haven't cheated in coming up on 2 years. That's no porn, no fap, all the stuff I talk about in my other videos, which was perpetuating these chronic belief systems I had about relationships. So I changed all that, changed my life forever. Many people ask me about those behaviors. It's not what this video is about, but I would consider cutting them. If your partner cheats on you, even when you're married and even when you have performed vows, it does not mean that they can't do that. They can. They're a human. They can do whatever the fuck they want, whether you like it or not. I'm not saying you have to stay in the marriage. I'm just using that as a reality. That can't happen. That shouldn't happen. There's no, the problems that come from that shouldn't happen, that must not happen, is really a big problem. Or the other way, I know for a fact I won't cheat. I know for a fact I won't hurt anyone. You don't know that. I know that's so scary to hear, but that's where uncertainty comes in and the fear of losing control. So let me give you another example. I know for a fact I won't cheat on my wife ever again. You don't know that. You can do the best that you can to put yourself in situations to make that less likely to happen. But here's the reality. Let's say a husband marries their wife. You could just plug, I'm just using the guy perspective, but female to male doesn't matter. Male to male, female to female, whatever. So let's say that you get married and you feel in love. You feel great. And you don't have ROCD at that point. Then you develop ROCD. Then you become convinced that you have to leave your partner. On your wedding day, if I floated down from the sky and said, you are going to cheat on your partner and leave them in 4.5 years from now. I've been to the future, okay? I'm Marty McFly. And you look at me and you tell me I'm crazy. And then 4.5 years from now, as time goes on in the continuum, you cheat on your partner. Think about the amount of people that have affairs, but 5 years earlier, if I ask them, you think you'll have an affair in 5 years from now? Fuck no! People just do things in the moment. That's how the world works. That's why acceptance is a case-by-case, day-in, day-out scenario. There's no correct way on that. That's what held me back so much. I would prefer not for things to happen. I will do the best things in my power to not cheat, to love my wife, to ask her how she was, to check on her day and everything in between. But I'll never be able to get the certainty on that. That's where people go wrong. Looking for that certainty and going, I know that I will never do XYZ thing. I'll never harm them. If you have harm OCD with ROCD, I know that. Physical harm, emotional harm. I know for a fact that's you don't know that. This is a really difficult thing for people to hear. There are plenty of people who have done very poor, bad behavioral acts in their life, emotional harm, physical harm, screaming, yelling, anything. Doesn't have to be your partner, your intimate partner. Remember, it's called relationship OCD. It could be mom, dad, best friends. Think about someone who's like has a best friend. And they're like, I love my best friend. We're so good. I would never hurt them. I would never get into a fight with them. Then you go to a bar, you're in college, you get shit-faced, and then you punch each other in the face. Well, there you go. I mean, you just physically assaulted your friend. That could happen. Things happen in life. Again, this is a non-biased view. This is the reality of acceptance of situations happening in your life. And I had to accept all those situations. So I had to accept the fact that maybe maybe my true self wants to be single, right? Because there's no such thing as the true self. Your self is always evolving. So maybe I do want to be single. Maybe I don't actually want to be with Erica. Maybe my relationship with Erica would be more boring, monotonous, sex with the same person over and over again for years. And the brain just convinces you, it's so boring, I can go out and get a new person and jump on that, right? Maybe I'm not going to feel attracted to my partner. Now I broke this one down. Is when if you stick with someone for long enough and you get to like Erica's grandparents on January 4th or 6th, just celebrated their 66th. They're both in their 90s, like 92 and 90. No one looks good at that age, my friend. When was the last time you looked at a 90-year-old and you were like, damn, I want to go on a date with that person? Maybe you might have a fetish. But that's the reality, right? It sounds funny, but it's the truth. And then love. What is love? I mean, what I consider love is different from what you consider love. And then people say, well, there's universal signs of love. No, there are not. There are just things that people do in common to prove to themselves why they feel in love. So how do I get underneath this? Because I have no ROCD cycle and I haven't in a long time. I've had spikes along the way, usually after big disagreements about money, or I remember Never Do This, 2020, she missed her period. And then she said that I missed her period, which she's on whatever the IUD, not the IED, that's an improvised explosive device, IUD. And I said, just blurted it. So are you going to get an abortion? Yeah, that didn't end well. She was really pissed, and understandably so. But it goes to show you where my beliefs were at the time. That was so rash. That was so in your face. You're going to get an abortion? She's like, what the fuck? Maybe I don't want to get an abortion. I'm just like, crap, I screwed up. But that was my beliefs and my ROCD latching out. So we covered a lot of things. Remember, if you want to be single, nothing inherently wrong with that. But a lot of people will leave their partners, go sleep with people, and become single, and then doubt why they did that, and they want to get back with the other person. Boring? Boring is a weird thing. There's really no such thing as being bored, per se. It's more of a perspective. Because you could have 10 people doing the same exercise, or like 10 people playing golf. 5 of them think it's boring and 5 of them love it. It's a perspective. Attraction, I mean, the reality is you're not walking around feeling that you're attracted all the time. There's many times where I don't feel attracted to Erica at all. Not like in a disgust way, but I'm not walking in the house trying to jump on her. Sometimes I'm like that. I'm a human. I have hormones. But I'm not thinking about it in the sense of, oh, I should be feeling attracted because I have no expectations. And then love, again, this goes back to expectations. I have no expectations in how I should or should not feel around my wife. So I know we covered a lot in this video. It's good to do these type of videos because there's a lot of things where people are trying to lock down expectations. We have an ROCD webinar coming up. I can't remember. If you message Phil, they'll give you the background. I hope to hear from you soon. The one-to-ones are great because when we do the one-to-ones, it's very individual and specialized, where I can see exactly what your particular scenarios are in there for. So I hope you guys enjoy. And ladies, thank you again. As always, enjoy the rest of your day.